Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was and is such an amazing, um, unique devotee of Srila Prabhupada. He lived so many different lives in his, one life. From his youth, which in some ways is like a kind of like a quintessential story of the Black American experience, to his incredible education and leadership as a young, revolutionary, visionary, and then his budding interest in spirituality, and then meeting Srila Prabhupada, and then his adventures as a preacher, and then his kind of transformation to community leader and like family elder, community elder, to his days of his passing and showing devotees how to leave this world. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's life, it's like each one is like an exemplary life. If you just look at any one of them, it's worth a whole story. Any part of his life is wonderful and exemplary. Some people say, like, I was speaking with my wife, and she said, "Oh, you're lucky you had a lot of personal association with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj." And it's true, I suppose, but I don't feel like that. I feel like I didn't know him at all. I feel like in some ways he was always beyond my ability to see him, and that almost like Maharaj existed behind a veil that my senses could never pierce. Although he made every effort to make himself available, was incredibly loving, funny, competitive, beautiful, dynamic. But I feel like even now, and I feel the same way about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's disciples, that they're also part of that, cut from the same cloth, part of that ilk, that you may see them with your eyes, but you don't actually understand who they really are, or their Shakti, their hidden Shakti. I think that's part of the special gift that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj gave his disciples. I just saw him at a Gurukula gathering in Los Angeles and saw how loving he was and how at home he was with all of these, young people who are trying their best to shock their parents and do everything that, no devotee parent would ever want their children to do. And it was like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and Radhanath Swami didn't even see those things. They just saw the devotees behind. And I remember being struck by his presence and like marking it, like, wow, this devotee is something special, something different than I've seen before. Then I moved to Washington, and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had made Washington his base for quite some years, especially during that time. And the way he was presenting Krishna in DC at that time was almost like in a hidden way. There's so many funny stories of people who were initiated during those times. It seems so silly to say it, but they actually didn't know they were becoming Hare Krishna devotees until they were sitting in their initiation ceremony. They were chanting Hare Krishna. They had learned about Krishna, about Prabhupada, about all the practices, but it never clicked because they were just with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I took a trip to Mexico with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I was doing kirtan. We went to Rath Yatra in Guadalajara, Mexico. And Maharaj invited me to eat with him, and we all were staying kind of in the same apartment house, Vyasaki Prabhu and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And yeah, I remember Maharaj specifically like moving things from the table to make space for me to join them, you know, that he wanted me to eat with them, even though, you know, I'm not a senior devotee or a sannyasi or a guru or anything of value. But he, so I remember this conversation that we had at that time, where I was asking a question that I had for a long time. Why does Ram, in the story of Ram Leela, Ramayana, why is Sita so like put upon by Lord Ram? Like, why does he force her to enter the fire after he rescues her? And then again, when this washerman, you know, just says some things, why does he banish her? And we were talking about how her sons, Lava and Kush, were separated from Ram and how it created so much trauma. And, you know, as a devotee of Krishna, we don't learn so many intricate details about Ramayana. So it's like we learn the basics, but, you know, it's not deeply discussed so much. And I remember Maharaj started laughing, and he started playing my side of the conversation even more and pushing. He's like, yeah, you know, it's like Lava and Kush are like the first Guru Kulis, and their father was forced to, for his service, to sacrifice everything, and they're bearing the brunt of all of his sacrifice. And Maharaj was laughing. He was really enjoying it. You know, like, he's like, yeah, you know, these, you know, how come, you know, it was so difficult for them and for Sita? And I remember, you know, we had a lot of discussion. I remember Maharaj just laughing, thinking about how it was so similar to many devotees' experiences. Since then, I've actually, inspired by that, I've actually done some digging. And I feel like that opened the door for me to pursue a deeper understanding of that story. And it's one of my favorite stories to tell right now. I actually, after speaking with other devotees, including Radhanath Swami, I love sharing the Ramayana, and the story of Sita and her troubles are actually almost like the heart jewel of the Ramayana. I know that sometimes Bhakti Tirtha Swami would choose to hang out with the youth, and I think it was in Mexico or around that time, he played a big volleyball game with a bunch of young people. And Maharaj was so competitive. Like he, you know, he refused to lose. And if his side was losing, he was ready to trade players. He was ready to do whatever to get his team in order to win. Maharaj was not, you know, not going to lose. You know, he was going to do anything to win. And, you know, so much energy, so much spirit.